I've been having some computer issues, but okay, it says recording. So you guys all know Holly, but some of you watching the recording may not know Holly. So Holly is my coach, my upline, the coach that brought me into this business, introduced this opportunity to me, which I am just like forever thankful for. And it's funny because it was right around this time 3 years ago. So I'm coming up on like my 3-year anniversary. It was like Thanksgiving weekend that I was like, I'm gonna try this coaching thing, Holly. Like, how does this work? And will you meet me at the gym and explain this all to me? And it's just so fun to like reminisce and think back to all that. And like right around after Thanksgiving, I think like December 1st is when I started Insanity Asylum, which was like my first whole program. And all those memories are popping up on my Facebook now. And oh my gosh, I was just on my iPad too, and like I haven't used my iPad in a really long time, but some of the videos from when I first started coaching were on there, and it was like my first couple days of Insanity Asylum and like putting the video collage together, and it's just so fun to look back at all that in our like Christmas 12 Days of Fitness videos that we did, and just it's so fun to reminisce, and like here we are now. But yeah, so if you want to just introduce yourself real quick, Holly, maybe just like a 1 or 2 minute of how you got started in the business, just so some of my newer coaches can hear that when they watch the recording, and where it's taking you now, like where you started, where you are now, and then just dive into your tips. So Holly went to a conference this weekend for All Network Marketing, and she is sharing her takeaways from that with us. So thank you so much for your time, and I am excited to hear your takeaways. I'm going to mute myself and just give the floor over to you.
Okay, yeah, well, thanks. I'm excited, and I do know most of you, but for those of you who don't know my story, I've been coaching for about 4 years, and I have a background in fitness. I'm a personal trainer, group fitness instructor, and I met my coach. She actually, she introduced me to coaching. I said no for over a year. But anyway, I followed her. I found her inspiring. She's also a personal trainer, group fitness instructor. She certified me through a lot of the Beachbody Live formats. So I was following her, and I started getting intrigued in what she was all about and what she was offering. And I was inspired. And so after a year of saying no, I finally said yes. And I had a lot of personal training clients and a lot of classes teaching at the gym at that time. But I fit it in. I fit in my coaching business starting out like 30 minutes of time, like per day is where I started. And then slowly I saw the potential of what it could be. And so I started putting more time into coaching. And over the past 4 years, I've been able to cut down on almost all of my personal training clients. I only have 2 clients. I cut them down from about 25. So now I have 2 personal training clients that are my best friends. So I would never give them up. And I'm only teaching my favorite class each day. And so thankfully, coaching has allowed me to be able to have more time at home, because now I have a little girl. Her name's Hattie, and she's 14 months old tomorrow. So thankfully, coaching has allowed me to be a mostly stay-at-home mom, and so I'm just super grateful for that. And on a side note, Emily was talking about reminiscing. Just remember, guys, when I asked Emily to coach, you know, she said no at first. So don't get discouraged when people say no, first of all. But when she came to me and said, hey, will you meet me and talk through this Beachbody stuff? She was like the first person that ever asked me to do that. And I was like, okay, sure. I didn't even know really what I was saying. I just like tried to pretend like I did. And I just gave her my best, you know, whatever. I didn't even have a little spiel, but she trusted me, and she learned what she could on her own. And look at that. Now, if I wouldn't have been brave enough to be like, okay, I guess I'll share what I know, look at what Emily has created now. So anyway, that's just fun to think about. But yes,
I'm gonna interrupt you for 1 second because it was literally in the Sam's Club corporate office where I worked. I like met you in the lobby and I like secretly met you because I didn't want my boss to see me and like what I was doing. And it's probably so weird for you. I was like, hey, do you want to come to my work and like meet me on my lunch break? But it's just such a good reminder of like you never know what's gonna happen. You never know what people are gonna say. We don't need to have all the answers. Oh my gosh, Bridget napped and rallied. Good job, Bridget. She was like, I'm tired. I was like, nap and rally. Bridget, I'm proud of you. I was kind of kidding, but I'm proud of you. But yeah, so I wish we like took a picture that day or like I had notes on that day or something, but we had no idea what we were doing. But it just goes to show you don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to say the right thing. Like I always say, one of my favorite things in this business lessons is you can never say the right thing to the wrong person, and you can never say the wrong thing to the right person. And like Holly and I didn't know what we were doing. We just kind of figured out as we went. I thought she knew what she was doing, and I listened to her, and now she's like, I didn't know. And I'm like, yeah, you did, though, because you knew more than me. You knew, like, what we needed to do to get started. And it's just so funny to think back on all of that. So anyways, go ahead.
well, so yes, I went to a conference this past weekend called Platinum Edge, and it's in Dallas. And I went the very first year that I signed up as a coach. And it was actually an event of like a few thousand people. It was a good turnout. And it wasn't put on by Beachbody, but Christine Dwyer, she's a founding Beachbody coach. She put it on for all of her downline, which since she started at the beginning, she's got a huge downline. And so that included me and Emily and, all of you guys. But anyway, so she just put it on for her downline. And then it's kind of evolved since then. And this year it was very different. Emily, there were only like 200 people there. So it was really small and really condensed. And part of it was because they didn't get the word out well enough, but it was for all network marketers. It was open to all network marketers, all entrepreneurs. So it was not just Beachbody, which was, it was interesting, but it was kind of a fresh feel and a fresh outlook at the same time. And I'll give you guys the names of each of these speakers in case you want to go look them up and see what we're talking about here. Keep in mind, I did not take notes knowing that I was going to give my takeaways on a team call. So I'm just going to kind of share what stood out to me the most. The first speaker, she's actually like way high up on Young Living essential oils. That was her platform, and her name is Lindsay Teague Marino. And I will like send these names out or spell them if you'd like me to. Lindsay Teague Marino, and she's on Instagram, and her talk was about getting noticed. And she was really awesome because her big thing was just about being yourself, being you, being relatable, being authentic. She started like being very anti-network marketing at all. And she kind of came into the business. She believed in the products and believed in what her company was about, but she decided to kind of do things differently. At the time, her company didn't believe in really going to social media. They were more like, you're going to have home parties and this is how you're going to do your business. And she kind of bucked the system and was like, no, you know what? I'm going to think differently and I'm going to do my own thing and be myself and start this on social media, which I know we're already on social media, but she was brave to try something new. And so her big thing is just being yourself. And she says, selling people onto a product is about, as we know, getting them to trust you. And imperfection can help you gain that trust because that's what creates the bond between you and the other person, not us being someone on social media who's just presenting the perfect highlight reel. She was encouraging us to show everything. I went on to her And I gave her you guys the names so you can look it up. I went to her stories because she said literally every day she wakes up and she starts her stories from like in bed. Like it doesn't matter. She doesn't take the time to like even put her hair up into a bun or whatever. She just goes with it. And that's very relatable. Like that's brave. I'm not there yet, but she just jumps right in it. She says if a person trusts you, they will buy. If not, they will ghost you. And I think we've all been there, but I've been there as well, where I haven't either developed the relationship well enough before inviting, or, people they don't trust me through what they're seeing in my posts and my stories yet. And so that was a good, that's very true. We all have those times where they just won't respond. We can see that they've even seen the message. Something that she was talking about also is women often think their imperfections hold them back. Like, we think, well, I better not share this. People are going to think less of me. She said, but it's actually just the opposite. And us sharing our feelings, we think of that as being weak, something that people will look down on us for. But again, that's what's going to really bond us with those people. And, just thinking back on some of the things that I've shared, in my stories or in my posts, the things that have been a little more, those are the, mostly the conversation starters that people will reach out to me about. And they'll, start conversations, initiating those because they see that common bond and see, oh, there's a connection here. She says, one thing I like that she said, don't think the things you don't have is more important than what you do have. So, let's not be just looking at other people's social media accounts or other people's lives and what they have going, wishing, I wish I could be more like them in this area, or trying to be and then failing because that's not us, right? Play up what you have, because that's how you are going to be real and believable and be you. Toward the end, she says, she's talking about serving. She's here to serve her people, serve her followers. Picking people will always elevate you, is what she said. And people will want to follow you because of all the value you're adding. But she's got a little saying here. She's even written a book, I think, or two. But this is her little formula. I like you, right? When we're finding people, especially where we see, oh, I like this person, and then they like you back because they're seeing that you're the same, you have similar interests, you have similar weaknesses, whatever, you're relating. Then you realize, hey, we're alike, and then they join the tribe. So her little thing, I like you, plus you like me, plus we are alike, plus we are a tribe. And she's just really, she's really fun. She was one of my favorite speakers, actually. So again, her name is Lindsay Teague Moreno. Lindsay with A-Y at the end. So anyway, then moving on, Chalene was actually after Chalene Johnson, and her topic was how to be a success without stress. And I was like, oh, yay, this will be a good one. And of course, I took so many notes. Chalene's just so great, right? She talked about, a lot of times we think about just how can we reach more people, more people, new contacts, which is, we have to do that. That's very important. But her focus was kind of different in that she wanted us to focus more on going deep with the people that are already our followers, the people that already love us and follow us on a day-to-day basis. She says that right now, she says 90% of time should be spent talking to followers to go deep, like for this focus, to be like, okay, I want to get to know all these people better. They're taking the time to follow me. 90% time talking to followers, and just building relationships. I was surprised by what she was talking about there. And then she goes into, the business basics. Of course, you have to have these laid out before you're able to dive in a little deeper. Basically, first of all, you've got to know your lifer. She's, the person who is following you, who is like you. You guys are the same. Know your lifer inside and out. What about you most likely attracts them? What is your lifer interested in about your page? She wants us to be very clear about our brand. Our brand message, needs to be uniform across platforms like Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. And then she went into, there's so much. I'm trying not to take up like 3 hours here. She touched on, I don't know if you guys follow her podcast or anything, but she talked about having an email management system in place, like MailChimp or Infusionsoft. She gave a few of those examples. That way you can, create the relationship with people, provide them value. Maybe you have a freemium or something you can offer. And that could be a PDF, that could be a workout, that could be your meal plan. How do you meal plan? How do you make time for your workout? What are your favorite workout tips? What are some recipes that you could provide people? So she's saying have something that you can offer people, and then she talks about gathering emails that way. And her whole point about going deep, here's a little acronym. She calls it REDIC. REDIC is her acronym for this. So she talks about, the first one is be relatable. And this is how to go deep. This is on your stories. This is on your posts. But first of all, be relatable. With stories, she's like, yes, be relatable, be you, share your life. Share, she says, at least 5 separate times a day. She wants you to share an Instagram or Facebook story. 70% of users go straight to stories first. So make sure you're definitely posting to stories. She says you don't want so many dashes. You know how when you go to stories, you look at the very top and you can see how many stories somebody has, and they come across as dashes in the top of the screen. You don't want so many dashes that they turn to dots, little tiny dots. And she was saying, because what happens is when people look at your story, what are they going to see first? They're going to look and see all those dashes or all those dots, and sometimes it can be like, oh, I don't have time for all this, and then they'll just swipe away altogether. She said Instagram hopefully will make it to where they don't show all of those. That will help us out a little bit. But be short, be bright, deliver the message, but be relatable. Also, in stories, we need one that the E is for educational, enlightening, something that's enlightening. If you want to share a quote, a personal development takeaway, an exercise of the day, that's E. These are different examples of different stories you can do. D is something that creates dialogues in direct message. Create stories that make people wonder or ask questions, build curiosity. Curiosity builds people's attention. I just shared one of Emily's stories on my team page last week, and I really like the way she just it was a subtle invite is what it was, but she's also creating dialogue and a chance for people to respond. It was in one of her, I'm sure you saw it, one of her workouts, and she said, are you planning to get your sweat in today? And it was the yes or no question, and it said yes, you bet, or something, and then no, I don't know what to do. Perfect thing to help people. And Emily was able to go to those people in her stories who didn't know what to do, and I'm sure help them get them set up in the right way. So something that is going to create dialogue is the D in stories. And then the fourth one is I, interaction. Here's a tip, be in the first 5 stories. You know how when you come up on Instagram, you open it up and all those stories at the top with your different followers, you want to be in the first 5, because those, how often do we scroll for the people we're following? We're going to just go boom right up to those that we see that are convenient. And how we do that is, by posting often to stories, or at least 5 different times a day to be pulled up to one of the latest in the first 5. And then C is do something once a day to capture attention. Let people know what you have to offer. So that would be like, an invite, or, just sharing what you have to offer those people. So that is Shalene's going deep. That's her going deep within stories tips. REDIC. Relatable, educational, do something that creates dialogue, interaction, and then capture. Let's see. Melanie Mitro was a speaker. She was also really, really good. She talked about tools to manage your time to reach your goals. And so that one I was excited about as well. She talked about a lot of things. So first of all, she said, write down what are your top 3 to 4 priorities, like faith, family, business, whatever those may be. And then number 2, what are my goals and why? And clearly define those. She's helping us narrow down our purpose for what we're doing here. Number 3, if I accomplish these goals, how will they impact my life? Playing onto our why we're doing this. Number 4, how much time will I devote to my goals? And number 5 is, when will you find the time? Because we can't create more time. There's 24 hours in the day. We've got to rearrange our schedule and make the time, basically. So she has a weekly planning session that I really loved. She said we got to create structure. She does a Google Calendar and color codes it. If you're a pen and paper person like I am, you can do the exact same thing. But start out with your non-negotiable time during your week. Your family time, your business hours. And then you have to think about what sacrifices will you make to reach those goals. She shared that she spends, until like the past 2 years, she spent 80% of her time on her business and 20% of her time on her team is what she did, all up until like the past year and a half-ish. With your business time, she sets short-term goals for each week. So not just the month or the year, but she sets short-term goals for the week. She sets her top 3 priorities for the week and 3 tasks within each day that she wants to get done. And then she plugs her top priority tasks each day into those work blocks in her Google Calendar. So she sets those aside. Then she asks, she calls it an IPA, income producing activity. It's sometimes easy to get caught up in the busy work of this business, which all these things are important, and creativity and all this stuff is important, but then we have to really focus on making time for especially those things that are going to push us forward and create the momentum and create that income that we are looking for, the most important tasks. Make sure you set those aside and prioritize those first. The way she eliminates distractions during work time, she sets daily intentions, like I just said. She works from a list. She turns off all of her notifications, which I have done over the past year, and I love it. So I don't have notifications that come on my phone that tell me so-and-so commented on this team page, or so-and-so sent me a message here or a DM here. When I work, that's when I check that stuff. And that's what Melanie was saying she does too. And it makes such a difference, so that when you're actually resting and not working, you're not having to check your phone all the time. She focuses on one screen at a time. I assume she means on her laptop. She turns her phone on silent. She works by a timer, which is what I do too. My goodness, you work hard when you know that there's some urgency there. You got to get stuff done in a certain amount of time. And she creates a reward after she works, like she online shops. So that's what she does. She asks herself, every day she does a gut check. So she asks, did I get the most important things done today? If not, she does them before bed. And she sets her intentions and priorities and her top 3 things for the next day to plan ahead. She actually said, what would I have done sooner? She said she would have hired help, like for those things that you can outsource, also like house cleaning and things like that. She said she would start using Google Streak sooner. And she also said that she would stop reinventing the wheel. So those are some things that she said she would have started sooner. Emily, there's so many. I've taken I took way more notes than even at Summit. And so how much time is left here? I'm trying to plan.
Yeah, you're good. This has all been so helpful so far. So it's like whatever you have, we're listening. So we end by 8. So you have another 25 minutes. We can always do a part 2 if you want to come on another week. I'm really interested in Bob. So I know you said you had a lot of really good ones from his. So maybe jump to his, and then we'll see how much time we have left after that.
Okay. I didn't even know who he was, and if you guys don't know either, he does have a podcast, My Virtual Upline. Do you listen to that, Emily? Yeah.
I have before. I know he's really well known in network marketing, and I think Sarah listens to his podcast as well.
I've been listening to him for a couple years, so he's been really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know, but I'm gonna find it. Anyway, he was really good. His talk was about, it was labeled a bigger purpose for your network marketing business. And this is the quote that he started out with. My business is an assignment from God to help you grow as a person by facing your fears, and in the process, discover the true purpose for your life. So that was how he started. And by the way, a lot of these
can you say that again?
Yeah, I'll try to say it slower. My business is an assignment from God to help you grow as a person by facing your fears, and in the process, discover the true purpose for your life. And a lot of these, what was kind of fresh about this whole weekend was, we we need to hear things like, about challenge groups and everything very specific to our business. But but a lot of these this weekend were, well, first of all, they were transferable across any network marketing business, but it was also more of the how-tos and the working on ourselves. And so this was there were so many quotes like all throughout his. I was like trying to catch him. I have some half sentences written. So there's something else he said is, the meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. And he was sharing that fears are often a reflection of your purpose. And I really loved that. I've never thought of it that way. He shared with us that he used to be sick to stomach thinking about speaking. And he's obviously grown so far in that. But he was saying he believes that the things that you fear most often are the things that you should be doing. And so that was a good focus of mine. So he's talking about lean into your fears in this. Accept yourself. And he told us, that we're supposed every day say to yourself, I am enough. What you have and who you are is enough to be offered to others. And he said, chip away the excess that already exists around God's creation. And I love that. I love that so much, which, by the way, all of these speakers actually brought up God. And I was blown away by all of the mention of God, and I just love it. You can't give to others what you don't first give to yourself. Which again, that goes right to what we know about personal development and filling up ourselves before we can give to others. We need to step into who we are and just own it. And, goes back to what I talked about, that lady Lindsay talking about just be you and be you. She's being herself when she wakes up early in the morning, starting her stories. And, people will either align with it or they'll decide you're not for them, and that's fine. Weed through it, through the people, and not everyone's going to be our lifer. He talked about changing our relationship to fear, and how we should be solving our fears emotionally, not logically. He said we've got to go through it, and a lot of times we can just get stuck in our head. In our head is where we have all of the fears and all of the what ifs. And so we can get caught up. We can get caught up in ourselves and just go round and round and round. He's like, you've got to go through it, which is a matter of the heart. And it's your fears that lead you to your purpose, kind of like he was mentioning earlier. Got to go through that. Here's a quote. Allowing your fears to control you is really just you playing small and living a selfish existence. What we were all like, ooh, that was a good one. Allowing your fears to control you is really just you playing small and living a selfish existence. And I mean, that's so true, because, we think about when we do live in that fear, we're not able to live out to our full potential. And we're not serving others. And it's not serving ourselves either, living in that fear. We only fear the things that deep down our hearts know are important to the evolution of our soul. I'm telling you, I mean, he was just like cranking out the quotes right and left. I was like trying to feverishly write all these down. And something else about how we have to go through fears emotionally and not logically. He said, we allow our thoughts to dictate our lives instead of listening to the pull on our heart. And then he also talks about, for people to trust you, they need to be able to see your fears and know that you're a real person and you have fears. These people have fears that are following you. You know, it's that mindset of, let's go through this together. And he talked about income is a byproduct of the impact you make. He's talking about, so the more you give, the more you get, the more of an impact it makes. The more of an impact you make, he had like a little picture here. The more impact you make, the more of an income you make. Obsess over making a difference in the lives of 1 million people rather than obsessing over making $1 million. Isn't that good? I liked that as well. And then he talks about success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. So obviously, if we're living to our full potential, if we're living outside of fear, we're going to be better, we're going to feel better, and we're also going to be able to help others and provide value and live outside of ourselves, basically. He talks about the world needs to hear your story. We all have stories, even if we think we don't. We all have stories. We're all unique. And pain is universal. So, you know, of course, we're not wanting to make every post and every story about something painful that we've gone through, but we need to be sharing that because, and sharing how we've come out on the other side or how we're going through it and trying to provide value in that way. Says stop focusing on what you need to do and more on who you need to be. I liked that as well. Man, he just kept rolling with it. But anyway, he was a really good one. And then I don't know why this is written here, but I guess he said this too. Invest time in those on your team who deserve it, not on those who need it, which was interesting. Invest time in those on your team who deserve it, not on those who need it. So those who are willing to work, those who are ready, those who are willing to run with you here. Something from the Jumper Media is the name of this business, this social media business. They're not social media experts, but they see a lot. They help people grow their Instagram accounts. And this one guy, his name's Ian Ryan with Jumper Media, and they know a lot about Instagram and have done a lot of research. So he had a lot of good. It was fun also because he wasn't affiliated with Beachbody at all, and so he was able to share some of his insights into how our stuff looks to outsiders, which was kind of interesting and cool. And so they actually what was really fun is they brought up people who were there. They brought up their Instagram feeds and their profiles and everything up on the big screen, and we talked through them, and he would bring up there were people that consented. At first we were all like, oh no, we didn't want to be picked. But anyway, it was fun to actually have a visual of what he was talking about for some of these, and he would bring up one person's post and be like, so this is really good. Now I'm going to show you how you could add value a little bit more over here. It was really neat. But he's talking about every story or layering your story, because every layer has a purpose, which is what we talk about, having our brand, right? And different things about who we are. He says, have a strategy for what you post, obviously, but rather than just focusing on quantity, instead of like seeing how many posts or stories you can just send out there just to have them, focus on, of course, the quality, what you are sharing. That's more important. Make sure you know just about, like Shalene said, knowing your lifer, knowing who your audience is. That's very helpful because you need to know their pain points, which they're hopefully people like you. That's who you're trying to attract. So hopefully whatever your pain points are, that'll be the same for your audience. So you can frame your posts around those pain points to help them. And he was talking about, no, you don't have to, hit all these pain points in every single post, but it just kind of having that in the back of your mind helps frame your content and frame your posts around that, which I thought was a good point. He said, be clear about who you are attracting in your Instagram bio. Hang on. There was another guy also from Jumper Media. Let me make sure I'm sharing his stuff too. They said, instead of having in the bio, instead of having like 8 or 9, or different things about you and who you are, they said keep it to 1 to 3 things, which I'm like, whoa. But 1 to 3 things about who you are, because again, you're wanting to capture people's attention quickly, and it needs to be your top 3 things about who you are and how you will help people. And then they should know what to expect, because then you are creating content to speak to them about those things. And you're staying consistent with that as well. So you're sprinkling those things into all of your posts. And they're expecting that because that's what's in your bio. He was talking about one of the examples that they brought up, how it's fun to post motivational quotes and people do love those. So he was sharing that, instead of just leaving it, that you can, of course, just leave it at the motivational quote, like, here it is. But in the caption, he was talking about it's going to add more value, and it's going to capture people more when you add a personal story to it. So why exactly are you sharing this? And why is it motivational to you? How have you found that helpful in your day or in life? And it doesn't have to be super long, but any chance that you have to connect a little deeper with people, rather than, I don't know what you want to say, to a motivational quote, that's helpful. And they talk about, he said, digging into those pain points helps encourage a response and tap into your audience. And always put your audience first. And so we went through some examples of people that weren't there, but like accounts that they followed that they thought these people did a really good job connecting with their audience. So instead of always starting, there are some posts, of course, we're going to start about me or I, but a lot of these people, they were starting with their audience and saying, don't you like when blah blah blah, or we blah 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 blah, or they're basically helping their audience come into their post a little bit more, and relate right from the very beginning, which I thought was a good point as well. And then,
do you have the accounts that he gave as good examples of that do that well?
Okay, so I looked them up, and so I should be able to like send you the names. Like if I look at them on my Instagram of recent,
Okay.
I'll make a note to try to send you those. Yeah.
And then while I have you on, question about the Instagram bio. So yeah, I've heard so many different things about like what to have in your Instagram bio. Do they recommend like a straight, because I know Angie Lee recommends like a I help you do this. Like, does he recommend something straightforward like that, or more like curiosity? Did he get into that? Like how does he want us to tell people what we do to help them, I guess?
So he didn't say specifically like how to phrase those different things. And you know, of course, we're not going to say Beachbody coach or whatever. So yeah, you know, of course, they're also aligned with the curiosity, keep people guessing. But also, their big thing was just be clear about how you will benefit your follower, basically. I don't know if that answers. Nobody actually asked that exact question on saying I help you do this. But and you know what, they also really prefaced, we're not Instagram professionals, but they were just sharing like what they've seen work for them. So that's what he mentioned for that. Yeah, and then the other thing that he said is, like I mentioned, you know, we don't have to solve problems in every post, but again, keeping those pain points in mind will help create better content for your people. All right, hang on a second. Okay, so there was also John and Nadia Melton were a husband and wife. I know we're almost done, so I just wanted to share this. This is same social media focus. They are a husband and wife team that worked for another network marketing company, and they were really great speakers. They know a lot. They've done a lot of social media you know, education, and they're so funny. You should look them up. You should look up their videos. But you know, they're reminding us that we're not branding ourselves by Beachbody. We're branding ourselves by me, by who you are. And we are a human first and a marketer second. So, you know, we're marketing ourselves first and foremost, not just our products. So they had a good tip of, most of us speak to less than, and they're talking mostly about Facebook here. Most of us speak to less than 10% of our Facebook friends, which goes into how important it is, like Shalene said, to go deep with those who we already are friends with. She talked about removing the duds. Okay, so these are people that maybe they don't even have a profile picture or have completed their profile. Maybe they're never on Facebook anymore. They're all on Instagram now, or they just never talk to you or whatever. She's talking about removing the duds and focus on the studs. She said it's more important. It will help with your reach also. So it's more important to have less Facebook friends, but bigger reach and bigger engagement on Facebook. So obviously, the less friends you have, that will help with your increasing your reach, she said. Their recommendation, you know, everyone has different recommendations, creating 10 posts a week that are fun, personal, lifestyle, you know, who you are. Create 4 posts a week that showcase nonchalant promotion of your business. You know, creating curiosity, no names of anything. She gave an example of a skincare post. She's like, this is a nonchalant product post. You know, if you wanted to give 3 tips, and her recommendation is give 2 general tips and one product related. So basically, if you were talking about skincare, you could be like, okay, so my first tip would be, you know, stay out of the sun or wear sunscreen. Second one would be drink water, hydrate your skin. And the third one could be like, oh my goodness, did you know Shakeology helps the hair, helps the skin, all that, you know, you could bring in your product that way. Then create one, they call it power post a week, that is directly a promotion of your business, your product, like a call to action for joining your team, joining your challenge group, whatever. Something I like that they said, it's not about me or the people that don't like it. That's not who we're trying to reach. It's about those people that are ready and those people that do like it. Another thing they mentioned, it's not about those negative family members who are non-supportive. And he said, you are the reflection of who they could have been. So that is a lot of times the reason we have non-supportive family members. And then this is just something they do for their new, and they have new coaches, new distributors sign up. They have them do actually 3 videos. I would have freaked out. They have them do 3 videos though, that 3 to 7 minutes, and they focus on the benefits, not the specifics. They have them do a why did they join the team video. They have them share what they joined, what they're a part of now, and their wow video or their results. How have they gotten results with this program, or what they're joining now. Oh, that's so much talking. I gotta say, there's more notes, but that's I can't go anymore.
No, I loved it. You clearly learned so much there. And even just that last thing with the 3 videos, I'm sure so many people would be afraid to do that. But even if we were like, make these, even if you don't post them right now, like how cool would that go back, just like we were talking about 3 years ago? How cool would that be to go back and be like, okay, here, because it's really hard for me to remember, honestly, like what I thought when I started, or like how I felt, or like all this stuff, just to have that to go back to and be like, okay, here were the exact reasons I joined, and like, here's why I started this, here's what my like vision was then, just to always go back and reference, even like how cool would that be? So like we could even phrase it as like, do this because in 5 years you're gonna want to see this. And like I think it's a good reminder of then who your target market is, because that person is who you want to help, like who you were. So I think that is just a really cool takeaway. But thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions for Holly with all the amazing stuff that she shared?
There's like 4 speakers I didn't even get to.
Well, we can always do a part 2, because I thought this was so helpful. We could like schedule one out in December or something, but this was seriously so good. Does anyone have any questions? I don't want to keep talking. I could ask some, but I want to give you guys the opportunity to ask. No questions. Does anyone want to share with Holly their favorite takeaway that she gave? I was personally writing quotes like a mad woman, or writing notes.
That was me. In between each speaker, I was like, ah.
I thought I heard someone on mute, but maybe it was just an echo. Courtney, you look like you were about to say something.
And something that one speaker, I didn't connect with her as well, but at the end of her talk, she had us, she did a really cool like visualization where we all shut our eyes, and she like walked us through this like visualization. Anyway, it was really cool and powerful. But then at the end, she had us write down, and you can do this too. It's still make an impact to you, I'm sure. She had us write down on a blank piece of paper what was holding us back in our business, like one thing. What is holding us back from, I don't know, in fear, or from reaching that next goal, or from going the next step? Write it down. And then she had a trash can up there on stage, and we all went up and actually, you know, crumbled up the paper and threw it away. And it just was really symbolic, but very powerful moment, because it was really like that feeling of like, I'm done with this. I'm moving past this limiting belief or the story I'm telling myself. And so anyway, that was really cool. So I wanted to share that. If you wanted, I don't know, if you wanted a little call to action for tonight, that would be something fun that you can even do. So I love that.
Court, were you about to say something?
I wasn't, but I'll share my favorite takeaway. It was just, I wrote down like 3 pages of notes, but you are a reflection of what they could have been for people who put you down or your haters or whatever.
I know.
Kind of is a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
I love that. My favorite quote, if I can find it now in my mess of notes. Oh, well, obviously the mic drop one, allowing your fears to control you is really just plain small and living in a selfish existence. Like, holy crap. Like, oh my gosh, like how true though. Like the little things that we're afraid to do, we're holding back something that could change someone else's life. Like, I thought that was so powerful. So, okay, I don't want to hold you past your time, Holly, but thank you so much again for sharing your takeaways. If you think of anything else that you're like, oh, I need to make sure they know this, just send it my way and I'll post it in the team page, or you can just post it in our team page. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait to keep learning more of what you learned and go over my notes. And like, I seriously think I need to like hang up some of those quotes on my like room, because some of those were serious, like, holy crap quotes. So
yeah. Well, the next Platinum Edge for all of you, the next one is February 2020. They're planning it. So I can send Holly the link and you guys can go ahead and plan, because this is a really great event.
perfect. Thank you again, Holly. For the rest of my girls, keep pushing. I know you have big goals that we talked about last week. I was gonna take some time and ask you where you are, but it's getting late and I don't want to hold you, so message me. I have all your stuff on Voxer. Today was like a really bad computer, phone, internet day, so all your like million Voxer messages are in here. I just need to put you in the thread, so I'm gonna do that tomorrow morning. But keep me updated on your numbers. Keep pushing for big goals for the end of the year. And again, Holly, thank you so much for taking the time and giving us pages and pages and pages of notes.
You're welcome. Thanks.
All right. Bye, guys. Good night.
Bye.